This exercise isn't strictly speaking a Blue Book exercise, but it is related to citation in that it's a citation placement exercise. And so you have been learning how to draft the citations. And so now we're going to move to where do you put the citations within your text. And so as you read through the chapter, it discusses the different types of citations, citation sentence, citation clause, and discusses where you would generally put those. And so a couple of rules of thumb to think about are where you are supporting your argument with authority and where you are drawing connections yourself. When you're drawing connections yourself, making analogies, making conclusions, those are your ideas and you don't need to cite those. Everything else comes from a case or some other authority and you need to cite that. The preference is for primary authority over secondary authority. That's something that we talk about a little bit later in the semester when we talk about research. But for now, just know that you need to think about where you place your citations to make your reader's job easier. All right, so here we go. So we've got a client. Our client is Mary Ratchett, a psychiatric nurse. She's employed by Charter Canyon Psychiatric Hospital, and on June 14th, 2024, the head psychiatrist, Dr. Sam Wright, called her into the staff break room. He accused her of alcohol abuse and refused to let her leave the unit until he was finished talking with her. After the end of the meeting, she left the hospital and has since filed a suit for false imprisonment against Dr. Wright. And so the cases that we're going to use to analyze that situation are Randall's Food Market v. Davis, a Texas Supreme Court case from 1995. This is the seminal Texas Supreme Court opinion that states the 3 elements of false imprisonment. This case does not focus on the element of detention without authority of law. The facts from Randall's Food Market appear on page 640 of the reporter, and the rule and holding appear on page 642. For the next case, Safeway Stores, that's a court out of the Fort Worth Court of Appeals from 1965. This case focuses on the element of detention without authority of law. The court specifies what types of employer-employee meetings are lawful. The facts of Safeway appear on 443 of the reporter, and the rule and holding appear on page 444. So now we're going to go through statements from a memorandum on this issue and decide whether or not each statement requires a citation. So this is exactly like the ICW exercise. The instructions may be a little different. In this one, if you want to cite Randall's Food Market, you just type Randall. If you want to do Safeway Stores, you just type Safeway, whether it's a full form, an id, or another short form. And then if there's no citation, the answer is just no citation. So here we go. First, in Texas, the plaintiff in a successful cause of action for false imprisonment must prove 3 elements. The detention was willful, the detention was without consent, and the detention was without authority of law. So we were told above that Randall's Food Market gives the 3 elements of false imprisonment, and so we're going to type Randall's for that one. For the next one, the sentence says, hold on, I'm going to make this green so we know that it's correct and finished. So in the next one, it says, in our case, the parties do not dispute that the detention was without Ms. Ratchett's consent or that detention was willful. However, the parties do disagree about whether the detention was without authority of law. Now, this is an idea that while it uses the terms of art from the rule, it's not actually giving you the rule or interpreting the rule. And so this is a statement simply about your case. And so you wouldn't cite anything for that. Because there is no need. That is your idea about what needs to happen for this analysis. Next, to prove that an employee has been detained without authority of law, the prosecutor must show that the employer was acting outside of the employment relationship by detaining an employee in an appropriate confrontation unrelated to her duties. So we're told above with the cases that Randall's does not focus on detention without authority of law, but that Safeway Stores does. So we're going to cite Safeway there. And then we move on to number 4. Dr. Wright clearly detained Ms. Ratchett without authority of law. Well, that's a conclusion, and that's something that you as the author would have come up with. So there's no citation for that. Next, in Texas, an employer has authority of law to require a discussion with an employee regarding that employee's duties, but that discussion must take place at a logical, proper location and must be conducted in a logical, proper manner. Again, detention without authority of law and the relationship between an employer and employee are discussed in Safeway, not Randall's. And so we're going to cite Safeway here for this one. Next, we have in Safeway v. Amber, the Court of Appeals held that employer was acting within his authority when questioning plaintiff Kenneth Amber, a cashier, about a possible cash register theft. Those are facts from Safeway, so we're going to cite Safeway. We would also give a pinpoint cite to the page on which the facts appear. Next, the court held that discussions regarding employee loyalty are proper, as are discussions held in the only available private space of a business, in this case, the back room of a grocery store. Again, that's talking about Safeway, so we're going to indicate that we would cite Safeway there. Next, the events of June 14th are very different from the events discussed in Safeway stores. Now, that is a distinction between your case and the case of Safeway stores. And so the observation about similarities or differences, the analogies or the distinctions, those are your original ideas, even though they call on information that appears in your facts and in the cases. So there's going to be no citation there. Although Dr. Wright and Ms. Ratchet have offices, Dr. Wright chose to detain her in the employee break room. Well, that's straight up just a fact from your case, and so there'd be no citation for that, unless, of course, you had a record cite of some sort, and then you might cite that. But record cites are handled in the next chapter. In addition, Dr. Wright wanted to speak with her concerning possible alcohol abuse not directly related to her work performance. Again, that's straight from the facts, and so we don't have a citation to authority there either. There we go. And that is it.